now. Perfect. Yeah, so we're all well ready to go. So we're recording on Facebook and Instagram as well. Hello everyone. And the recording is going to be kept in, so it'll be up on that, and we'll put it up on our YouTube later as well. So the one from last week, the beginners class from last week as well, is up on our YouTube as well. Okay, so yeah, look, we're just back to basics with our beginners. We only had one class already, so we'll be going over what we did before and doing like a new exercise or adding on an extra move onto it. So last week we started on our backs. Today we're going to start down on hands and knees. Okay, so we'll come on over onto the mat. Okay, and up onto hands and knees. So from here, hands are underneath the shoulders, knees underneath the hips, and what we're going to do is mobilize the spine. So we're going to dip the tummy down, okay? And as if you're looking to the top of the mat. Now we're not going to extend up really high with the head. We're just going to dip down as if you're sticking the bum right out and up to the ceiling. Okay, and then we're going to tuck the tailbone in and dip or arch the back up and look down between the legs. And let the tummy drop as the bum sticks up, looking to the top of the mat. Now when we do this, just get awareness, okay? So tummy's not working, bum's not working in this position. But then we're going to get a little bit of tightening into the tummy and into the bum as we arch the back up to the ceiling and tuck the tailbone in. Let the head hang heavy down, looking down between the legs, and then we'll just dip again. Stick the tailbone up, that's it, look to the top of the mat, tummy and bum not really working, and then tighten the tummy as we tuck the tailbone in. Okay, so once you get that awareness into the muscles that are kicking in and into those areas that can help kind of engage the abdominals a little bit more and get a little bit more movement down there. So we'll go one more time, arching all the way up to the ceiling, looking down between the legs, and then just let it go. Okay, so we'll just come back to a little bit of a central position, and we'll just sit the bum back onto the heels and hands out in front. So again, like last week, we did this one, real nice one, just for getting the lower back and the sides of the back as well. And if you want, you can always go wider with the knees, sink down into it. And we can go both hands to the left hand side, say left hand to the left side of the mat, right hand on top. And then we can also go right hand to the right side with the left hand on top. And that'll just target one side over the other. Okay, so we're going to come back up onto hands and knees. And again, hands under shoulders, knees under hips. So if you dip the tummy down or stick the bum up, as we said before, the tummy and the bum's not kicking in. So we want to get a little bit of tightening into the tummy as we tuck the tailbone in. So imagine we're trying to come to a flattened position for the back, or what we feel is a flattened position. And it's more so just to gain a little bit of awareness into the abdominals, okay? So easy exercises can be made hard once we're focusing on the muscles we're trying to kick in. So I'm up on hands and knees. I'm going to send my right leg back behind, and I'm going to send the left hand out overhead. Now if that feels too much altogether, just go with the leg. But again, if you've done class with me before and you want to make it harder, you can go with both sides. Now when we're changing legs, like last week, we want to eliminate as much movement as we can, rocking from side to side. That's it. And we want to make sure that back doesn't come out of position. Come that way. Okay, so send the leg back behind, that's it. And I flex the foot, so my driving back with the heel. I find that just kicks in the glutes a little bit more and it gets a little bit more length into the back of the body. If you feel up to it, you can go with the opposite hand. But if the back dips or the body sways out of position, don't worry about going with the hand. And then change sides, so right leg back, lead back with the heel. Again, a little bit of tightening into the tummy, and send the other hand out overhead. And then slowly back, shoulders drawn down the back, a little bit of tightening into the tummy. Left leg back, drive back with the heel, right hand out overhead. That's it, holding out there, and slowly back. So again, just take a second, shoulders down away from the ears. Again, a little bit of tightening into the tummy. Right leg back, lead back with the heel. Left hand out overhead. And then slowly back, shoulders drawn down the back. Left leg, right hand. And then slowly back. And right leg, left hand. Again, if you find that you're starting to rock or shift, okay, maybe just step back with just the leg. That's it, we got one more each side. Shoulders drawn down the back, tummy tight. Left leg and right hand. That's it, again, still focusing on tightening the glute, okay, the glutes are the muscles in the bum. That's it, still keeping the tummy tight. And again, the hard part is to try to keep the body as still as you can. And then slowly back. So if you need, you can give the rest a little bit of a twirl around. So we're going to come down onto the tummy now. And we did this exercise towards the end of the last session. Okay, so we're going to do it now at the start of this. So when we're down, we're looking to kick in the muscles on the lower back, either side of the spine. My elbows are bent and hands in by the sides. Now again, I'm not pushing up through the hands. I'm going to focus on that lower back. And I'm going to lift the chest as I breathe out and lift the chest and in and lower. So we just don't want the tummy pushing into the mat. Again, remember we said we don't want that doming or that popping. Okay, and we'll talk a bit more about that when we're working the abdominals. But it's the same with this. We don't want the tummy popping or doming or pushing into the mat. We want to keep it tight. So I'm going to breathe out as I lift the chest and shoulders and breathe in and lower. Try to keep the upper body relaxed and then learn to just let them go down when you relax down. So breathing out and lift and in and lower. Breathing out to lift and in to lower. So with this again, there shouldn't be any movement at the pelvis or tilting at the pelvis when we go to lift, okay? So make sure there's not a big movement at the pelvis. Keep the tummy and the bum tight. And again, just the lower back, kick it in. If you find you go up too high and the back is painful, just don't go up that high. So again, these can be anticipatory muscles. So even before you feel you've actually lifted, they'll be kicking in, okay? And then just lower down, let it go. These are the muscles that we kick in when we're sitting, standing, walking, okay? So they're important to go slow and controlled. 2 more. Breathing out and lift, in and lower. And again, just let those back muscles go. And breathing out to lift, and in and lower. And again, just let them go. So we're going to come into our swimming exercise. And again, we did this last week as well. So I'm going to rest my head down on my hands. My elbows are out wide. And again, keep the shoulders down away from the ears. If you're not too sure about how to do that, or if you are doing that, a good way or a good thing to do is to bring the shoulders up to the ears as much as you can. And then you know that the furthest point away is where you want them, okay? So that can be a good little exercise or a good kind of cue to make you feel a lot more aware of them. So bring them up to the shoulder or up to the ears as much as you can, and then just relax the shoulders as much as you can. So rest the head down on the hands, the elbow or the feet are coming closer together but not touching. And again, I'm focusing in on the bum. I'm going to lift one leg from the hip, lower, and then lift the other leg from the hip and lower. So the head is rested, I'm just lifting mine to talk. That's it. Again, I'm focusing in on the bum, and again, I'm letting it go then when I relax it down. Left glute kicks in, back of the leg will be kicking in, but try focus on the bum a little bit more. I'm letting it go, and then right leg kick in, and then let it go. Left leg, let it go, and then right, and let it go. 4 more. Again, focus on how much weight maybe you're putting into the elbows. Do you feel that weight shifting, or is the upper body staying relaxed? That's it. Try really isolate the lower limb. 2 more each side. That's it. And last one each side. Okay, and rest back down. So we're going to come up for a little stretch, okay? So up onto hands and knees, and again, try not to let the back arch as we lift up. So I'm going to have my toes tucked in underneath, and I'm going to lift my hips first and send my hips back. Just not to put too much pressure on the back when we come up. Okay, so again, sink right that back down. Get a nice stretch. That's it. And again, if you want to do both hands to the left hand side or both to the right, then please do. So we're going to come over onto your side now. We're going to work our lovely hips. Okay. So I'm going to come down my left side. Doesn't matter which one, as long as we do both of them. Okay. And I'm going to come down onto outstretched hand. I'm going to get both knees out in front, both feet out in front, and I want your top knee our foot to hang out over the bottom. So I'm going to move a little bit closer to you. Okay, so both knees and feet out in front, and bring the top knee and top knee slightly forward. Now, this is an exaggerated. We do want to have the hips stacked, but if you find it hard to activate the glutes, the muscles in the bum, there's no harm just exaggerating the movement a little bit, just so the front of the legs don't kick in. And for a lot of us, the front of the legs tend to compensate for what we try to get the glutes and the tummy to do. So we'll rest the head down, let the knee hang out over the bottom, focusing on the bum, and I'm going to separate the top knee and the foot. Now don't worry about it lifting up really high, okay, as long as you feel the bum kicking in, that's the main thing. So if you're lifting up real big height but you find the pelvis is moving back, we don't want that. So pelvis staying still, focusing on the bum, we're just moving at the hip, and then relax the muscle. Glute kicks in as we lift, and then relax all the way back down, let it go. Squeeze the glute as we lift, and then let it go. Now just be aware, do you feel the back of the leg kicking in? Do you feel the front of the leg kicking in? Okay, just try isolate the muscle more so in the glute. That's it for 4 and 3. Last 2. And last 1. And then rest back down. Now both feet glued together. Lift both feet up. And again, I don't want the feet tense, okay? So let the toes and heels, or toe to heel touch. And I'm still focusing on the bum, lift the top knee. Now you might feel a little bit more tightening around the tummy or the waist. That's it. And again, separate the top knee, squeezing the bum, and lower back down. Separate the top knee, squeeze the bum, and lower back down. That's it. Again, don't worry about huge height as long as you get the right muscles kicking in. Mind that the feet don't lift and lower. Keep them lifted for 4 more. And 3. That's it. 2 more. That's it. Focusing in on the glute. And last 1. And then rest back down. Now, we're going to keep the top knee and foot out in front. And we're going to straighten out the bottom leg. And rest the knee back down. Now this bottom leg, okay, make sure you find the back of the mat with it. Okay? And make sure your bum is back there as well. So I have my shoulder and my bum at the back of the mat, and my foot is back there too. So we talked about that last week. So I want to focus on my inner thigh. Okay, so we're going to lift and lower the bottom leg. Now, the inner thigh can be hard to switch on if you're not used to doing it. Okay, so maybe focus on the breath out and then lift. Now try not to do the 2 of them at the same time. So breathing out, and then lift, and then lower. Breathing out and lift, and then lower. Just be aware that that foot doesn't travel forward, okay? And just be aware that the foot's not doing all the work. So if your foot is leading up to the ceiling like mine is now, maybe just see about concentrating on lifting from the knee. Okay, so get the knee lifting and lowering. And see, does that help activate the inner thigh? That's it. So again, the inner thigh muscles is what we want kicking in. Make sure the lower leg is not doing all the work. Make sure the front of the leg is not doing all the work. That's it. 4 more. And 3. Last 2. And last 1. And rest back down. Now, so we bring both feet and knees together at the back of the mat. And now I'm going to straighten out my top leg. Okay, now my top leg is lengthened, but I want you to imagine as someone's pulling that leg down the end of the mat. So slide it down as much as you can. Now make sure this top hip doesn't sit back like I'm doing now. And I don't want to see the leg going forward and really high like that. Okay, so if you are, more than likely the pelvis or the hip has come out of position. So again, to get this top hip slightly forward, again we want them stacked one on top of the other. I'm going to focus in on the bum. So if you don't feel the bum kicking in, no harm getting this top hip a little bit more forward. It might feel as if you're facing the floor, but that's fine. Okay, and we lift and lower. Now when I lift, I feel a blockage. I feel as if I can't go any higher. And if I do, the whole pelvis is going to move. So that's the kind of sensation we want. You want to feel the bum kicking in. You want to reach that point that you feel you can't go higher. And then lower back down. Focusing on the bum, lift and lower. You definitely do not want the front of the leg doing the work. And try not to let the side of the hip, the side of the leg do the work. So more so focus on the bum and towards the back of the body. That's it. We'll just go for 4 more here. Last 3. And 2. Last 1. Now we'll hold that hip out into small little circles. Again, make sure the whole body doesn't be moving out of the way like I'm doing now. So focus on just isolating the leg. That's it. 2 more this way. And we're going to change direction and opposite way around. And 4, 3, 2, 1, and you give that knee a little pull into the chest. Now while we're here, we're going to stretch out the front of the leg. So give the top foot a little pull to the bum. That's it. Keep the leg parallel to the ground. Don't let it lift. Okay, if you do, you're only looking for more tightness into the side of the hip. Okay, and if these muscles here are tight, okay, it's going to go down and maybe end up causing issues into the knees as well. So keep the leg parallel. When we pull the foot back for a stretch, don't let the back arch. Okay, keep the tummy tight, keep the back straight, get a good stretch on the front of the leg. Okay, and we relax that leg. So we're going to come up onto the elbow. I want the elbow directly underneath the shoulder. Now my feet are in line with the bum and the feet are close to the bum. So from here again, if we're slumped back down, you might feel a little bit of discomfort or weight into the shoulder, maybe into the neck. So we're going to activate these muscles to lift. So I'm using the other hand just to get a little bit of feedback. Lift the ribs, lift the waist, hips coming up. And from here, push the hips forward, let the shoulders come back, open up the chest. Feel the glutes kicking in, waist is kicking in. We can see about going the top hand up. Now if you want to make it harder, you can lengthen that top leg. But again, it's only beginner, so I'm happy to stick with this. But I'm going to go and add a little bit of rotation in. So my top hand is going to come in underneath. I'm going to reach and I'm going to look back behind. And then I'm going to come forward again. And I'm going to push the hips forward. Top hand is coming in underneath. Reach and look back behind. And then coming forward. And I'm going to go one more time. Top hand in underneath. Reach and look back behind. Imagine you're trying to grab something. And then coming forward. And rest back down. Okay, so we'll swing the legs around and we'll do the other side. Okay, so again, we're going to come down onto outstretched hand and we're going to go back and work the hip from the start. So down onto outstretched hand, both knees and both feet out in front, and let the top knee hang out over the bottom. I'm going to focus in on the bum. I'm going to separate the top knee, squeezing the glute, and then lower back down. Separate the top knee, squeezing the glute, and then lower back down. Again, if you need to reshift around or move around, please do. Again, we don't want the front of the leg kicking in. Okay, definitely not the side. If the hamstrings kick in a little bit, we don't really want that, but again, it's better than the front of the leg doing all the work. That's it. Focusing on the bum, separate the top knee and down. That's it. If you need, use the hand on the hip like we said about last week, just to get a little bit of feedback. And again, if you're joining in late, last week's class is up on our YouTube channel. Okay, so you can check it out there for the full class if you kind of don't understand any of the cues or the instructions that I'm giving this evening. That's it. We'll go for 4 and 3. That's it. Last 2 and last 1. And rest back down. Now we're going to focus in on, or you'll feel a little bit on the waist now a little bit. So we're going to lift both feet up. That's it. We get a little bit of tightening or engagement into around the abdominals and the waist. Feet are glued together again. Make sure it's not just the toes. Okay, toe to heel. Keep them glued together. Again, focusing on the bum. Lift the top knee and then lower, and lift the top knee and lower. Okay, just be aware of those feet lowering and lifting. Try keep them still. That's it. Just isolating at the hip joint. That's it. Focusing on the bum. That's it for 5 and 4. Last 3. Well, feeling that. 2 more. And last 1. Okay, and rest back down. Now keep the top knee and foot out in front, and we'll see by straightening that bottom leg again. Now, try to keep the top leg relaxed. Bottom leg is straight, and again, it's found the back of the mat. Okay, again, make sure to just check in as my shoulder, my hip is at the back of the mat and my foot is back there too. Again, try not to lead with the foot. Focus on the inner thigh and lift and lower and lift and lower. That's it. If you need, focus on the breath out, breathing out as we lift, in and lower. Breathing out as we lift and in and lower. That's it. You want to get that inner thigh kicking in. Make sure it's not the front of the leg kicking in. If you feel the bum working or the back of the thigh, perfect. But again, more so just the inner thigh if you can. That's it for 4 and 3. That's it. And again, just let it go completely when you relax it, but lower under control. Don't just plonk it down. That's it. Breathing out and lift, in and lower. And breathing out and lift, in and lower. I'm going to do an extra one here because we're going to go for one more. And lift and lower. Excellent. Good. So both knees and feet together. Okay, again, I feel the back of my feet at the edge of the mat. And I'm going to see by lengthening out that top leg. So stretch that top leg long. Again, keep the top hip slightly forward. Don't let it sit back. And the foot is at the back of the mat as well. So I'm going to lift and lower the leg. Again, I don't want the pelvis to rock up and down. Okay, if I get huge height, just check into your positioning. Okay, so again, we lift and lower. Just isolating the hip joint. That's it. Focusing in on the bum. Make sure the front of the leg's not doing the work. That's it. Lift and lower. Now, if you do find maybe the feet are getting tense or you're doing a lot down there, just relax the foot. Just find a different position. If you find if it's quite tight one position, then just point it or flex it. Go the opposite way. See, does that make a difference for you? That's it for 4 and 3. Last 2. Last one. Now we have our circles. So hold the hip by focusing on the bum and circles. And again, I don't want huge circles if the whole body's moving. That's not what we want. We want to just isolate the joint, focusing on the bum. And now we're going to change direction, opposite way around. And 4, 3, 2, last one. And give that knee a little pull into the chest. Okay, so again, like we did on the other side, we give the foot a little pull to the bum. Make sure the knee doesn't go high. Keep the leg parallel to the ground. And again, just make sure the back has an arch. So once you have grip of the foot or hold of the foot or the leg of the trousers if you need, just tighten the tummy, flatten the back, and see does that help increase that stretch on the front of the leg. So again, we talked about the positioning of this in last week's class. Okay, so if you're not too sure what I'm talking about, again, just check the first week out. Okay, and just relax down. Excellent. Now, so we're going to come up onto the elbow again, like we did on the other side. Both knees are bent and feet glued together. So like we did the last time, lift the ribs, lift the waist, hips are coming up, and we're going to push the hips forward. That's it. Open up the chest. That's it. Shoulders are back. And we're going to go into that rotation again. If you feel you want, you can lengthen that top leg to make it harder. And we're going to bring the top hand in underneath, reach and look back behind, and then come forward again. And we go again, top hand coming in underneath, reach and look back behind, and then coming forward. And last one, top hand in underneath, reach and look back behind, and then coming forward. Excellent. So we'll come down. Now we're going to come into a seated position, or come into cross-leg position. And again, if this doesn't feel comfortable for you, okay, you can have the knees bent, okay, and out in front. You can see it by sitting on a few books just to give you a little bit of height, or a yoga block or something like that. It'll give you a bit of height and you might find it a little bit more comfortable. You can go with legs straight either, but we're going to come back to cross-legged. I'm going to see about doing this in a different position over the next few weeks. But just starting off, we're just mainly just concentrating on getting that side bend movement. So I'm going to have my right hand on the floor. Now I'm going sideways onto the mirror for a reason, so hopefully you can see what's happening. So right hand, thanks, down on the floor, left hand high up to the ceiling. I want you to imagine us standing over you, pulling that hand up. So reach it up to the ceiling as much as you can. Side bend over to your right, and my right elbow is bending. Okay, so it's not staying straight with the shoulder up around the ear, it's bending, the shoulder has dropped, and I'm side bending over. I'm stretching through those fingertips. Imagine someone's pulling that hand. Feel that stretch from the right side, maybe from the arm, from the armpit, or from the ribs to the hip. It just depends on where it feels tight for you. Now, if this feels okay, don't let the hand fall forward, but keep the hand beside the ear and move forward at the hip a little bit. That's it. Encourage that stretch. Again, if you want to focus on the breath, you can. Breathing in, air going wide into the ribs, and breathing out. And we're going to fold or circle forward out of it. And we come up nice and tall. This time my left hand is down, my right hand is high up, and I'm stretching high up. Again, imagine someone's pulling the hand, standing over you, pulling the hand up, and now I'm side bending over. Okay, so now you can see my right hip, okay, like you could on the last side. Don't let the right hip lift up. It's important we keep that down. So even work on a little bit of ground reaction force. So push that right hip back down as we stretch away with the hand. That's it. Does that increase that stretch? Try to get that right hip down as we stretch over with the right hand. Now small lean forward at the hip again. Don't let the hand fall forward. And then travel and circle around out of it. Okay, we'll go one more each side. Right hand down, left hand up, side bend over. Okay, again, we didn't focus on the breath the last time. Maybe we'll concentrate on a breath or two this time. Breathing in, air going wide into the lungs. Just hold and breathing out. Last one, breathing in, air go wide into the lungs, into the ribs, should I say, and breathing out. And we're going to fold and circle forward out of it. Left hand down, right hand up, stretch high up and side bend over. And again with our breaths, actually before we do, push that right hip down, stretch the left hand up like we did on the other side. So breathing in, air goes wide into the ribs, little hold and breathing out. That's it, last one, breathing in through the nose, air goes wide into the ribs, and on the breath out, relax forward and around out of it. That's it. Give the shoulders a little roll around if you need. So we're going to go into an exercise called rolling like a ball. So we'll come to a seated position, kind of lengthwise on the mat. Now we're going to stick with beginner position. We did this last week as well. And if you find the front of the legs are doing a lot of work, okay, get a cushion or a pillow or a blanket, something light that's not too heavy, or even a kid's softball or something in between the thighs, and hold it there. It'll just give it a little bit of feedback or a little bit of activity, should I say, into the inner thighs. That'll help have a knock-on effect into the pelvic floor, deeper abdominal muscles, and hopefully stop the front of the legs doing all the work. Okay, so otherwise, if you don't need it, knees and feet together, hands back hip width apart. Now actually, before we start, we're up nice and tall on those bony points in the bone. We talked about those last week. So we want to focus on the breastbone, the bone right down the centre of the chest, and the belly button coming closer together. So when we bring them close together, we're going to curl back on the seat bone, okay, on those bony points. So focus on the breastbone and belly button coming closer together as we curl back on the seat bone. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. And if not, don't be afraid just to check out last week. So again, feet and knees together, hands back hip width apart. Now only my fingertips are in contact with the mat to start with. Okay, as I bring the weight back onto my hands, I'm going to roll back a little bit on the pelvis, but I'm lifting the feet at the same time. Okay, again, if you find that you lean back and then lift, okay, maybe just focus on the breath out, and hopefully that'll distract you to do everything at the same time. So I just out the camera on one of them, okay, but I'm just going to get you to roll back and forth on the seat bone as I come forward a little bit. Now, so I'm bending my elbows and I'm straightening. When I straighten them, I'm not letting the feet touch the floor. That's it. And I'm focused on the abdominals, holding that position at the hip and the knee. So I'm not bringing the knees closer and further apart, okay? I'm rolling forward and rolling back on the seat bone. We'll go for 5. Now again, if you don't feel if all you feel is the front of the legs, maybe see about popping something in between the thighs and just reset and see, does that make a difference? You should feel the abdominals kicking in. and if not, drop down and reset. One more. Okay, and rest back down. Okay, so we're going to come up nice and tall, and we're going to go into a little bit of a twist. Now you can do this with the knees bent, okay, and up nice and tall on the bony point in the bum, okay, and feet and knees together. And again, just watch that the knees and the feet don't turn with you. So sometimes I kind of find that if you have something in between the thighs, it can just make you a little bit more aware of trying to keep that still. We're going to go with hands across the chest, and feet and knees are together. So I'm up nice and tall, and I'm going to look around my left shoulder, and I'm going to let the shoulder follow around with my vision, or with my eyes, and then back to the center. Look around my right shoulder and follow around, and then back to the center. Look around my left shoulder and follow around. Try to get as much movement in the spine as you can. And when I come back to the center, I'm up tall, shoulders down. Just reset, just relax those shoulders. Look around to the right and follow with the shoulder. And back to the center, up tall. Look around to the left and follow. And last one now, up tall, shoulders down. Look to the right and follow to the right. And now back to the center. Okay, so we're going to, again, if you need, keep the knees slightly bent, toes pointed. If you can just straighten the legs. But if you straighten the legs and you slump back down, okay, maybe see about keeping the knees slightly bent and to stay upright. We are going to come back into that slumped position, but we want to be able to start in a tall seated position first. So I'm going to have my hands out in front. Now they're out at shoulder height. And with this exercise, again, we're still focusing on the breastbone coming towards the belly button. Or else you can focus on the pubic bone, which is the bony point right down from the belly button, that coming towards the belly button, okay? So either the breastbone towards the belly button, or else the pubic bone towards the belly button. So we're up tall, and then we're going to see about tightening the tummy or activating the tummy as we curl back and bring those 2 points closer together, okay? So hopefully that makes sense. So hands are out in front. I'm going to bring my chin to the chest, and I'm going to stretch the hands out in front. And then at the same time, I'm curling back on the seat bone, okay? So I'm going into that motion I just talked about. So hands out in front, chin to chest, shoulders out, curl back on the seat bone. Imagine someone's holding you from behind, but you're trying to grab something out in front. And then we're coming up nice and tall. Now, just to clarify, it's not that movement, okay? We're not hinging from the hips. So we're curling, we're coming into a C curve. So hands out in front, chin to chest, stretch the hands out in front, curl back on the seat bone, bringing the breastbone and belly button closer together. And then coming up nice and tall. We'll just do one more. Chin to chest, stretch the hands right out in front. And then coming up nice and tall. Excellent, okay? So we're going to come back onto our back. And again, if you need to come onto your side, or even hold on to the knee and lowering down is a nice way either. So we get both knees onto the, both feet onto the floor. Okay, and make sure everyone can see me again. There we go, perfect. So we relax the upper body down. Now we're just going to find our neutral spine. And again, we talked about this last week, so if you're not too sure what that is, go back to last week. So we're going to flatten the back into the mat, arch the back up with those pelvic tilts. We go one more time, flatten the back, and then arch, and now we're going to find kind of halfway between both. So again, we want to make sure the tummy doesn't pop or dome, okay? So if you feel that the tummy, or if you see the tummy's popping or doming, just drop down and reset, okay? So we don't want to see the big popping or doming. We're not activating the tummy with that, we're only increasing intra-abdominal pressure. Okay, so if you need hands on the hip, on the tummy to feel that, but you'll be able to see it. So we're going to bring the crown of the head up as we bring the chin towards the chest, and then we're going to focus on the breastbone coming towards the belly button. So I'm coming up breastbone towards belly button, my shoulder blades have come up, I'm stretching the hands but shoulders are open, we're not hunched up around it. Okay, and hold up there. Now really focus on bringing the tummy towards the spine. Try bring those shoulder blades up that little bit higher. And then we'll rest the hands, rest the shoulders, rest the head. And we'll go again. Again, if you want to focus on the breath, breathing out as we come up. That's it, or breathe out and then come up. Chin to the chest,
breastbone towards belly button, tummy towards the spine, and we're going to hold up there. Now this is called the 100. We can go into small little beats. You can focus on the breath, but I prefer you to focus on getting the right muscles kicking in. So tummy towards the spine. Make sure the neck and the head isn't doing all the movements. If you need, support the head. Make sure not to pull it, and focus on the shoulder blades coming up, okay? So make sure it's not just this. Okay, chin towards the chest. So get the shoulder blades up as well. That's it. We'll go for 5 and 4, 3, 2 and 1. Rest the hands, shoulders and head. Again, give the head a little nod from side to side if you need to relieve any tension that might be building up. Okay, so we'll give the neck and the head a little bit of a break. We're still going to work the tummy, okay? So we're going to see about bringing our legs to tabletop. And again, don't let the tummy pop. Excuse me, pop or dome. So again, keeping the tummy tight, I'm going to bring one leg to tabletop. Light little tap to the floor, bring it back up. And then maybe rest that foot to the floor. Now we don't want the pelvis to rock from side to side. And now bring the right leg up. A light little tap at the toe to the floor and bring it back up. So you can continue with that, and we talked a little bit more about this exercise last week. But to make it harder again, don't let the tummy pop or dome. Keep, say, the right leg at tabletop and slowly take the weight off the left leg. Okay, now when we slowly take it up, if you feel the tummy about to pop or to dome or the back about to arch, don't lift the second leg. So you're only working to this point. So you might find that you can only take maybe 60-70% of the weight off the second leg before the tummy starts to pop. Well, then don't let it pop, but hold that there maybe for 3, 2, 1, and then let the weight go back into that left leg. So hopefully that makes sense. Now if you want to progress it on a bit more, tightening the tummy, keeping the tummy tight as we slowly take the weight off the second leg. Again, if you need to do this, drop down and reset. Do not continue after doing that. Okay, because again, you've come into an imprint, you've not set up the core. Okay, we want to get those abdominal muscles kicking in the whole lot of them rather than just working the superficial there. So again, back is in neutral, legs at tabletop, one leg to tabletop, or sorry, to toe tap, back up, and the other foot down, little toe tap and back up. Okay, I just going to need to reset. Okay, so one foot down, light little tap at the toe to the floor, back up and change. Now, if you go to lower the foot and you find the back is about to arch, don't worry about going the whole way down. Just stop until you feel you're about to lose control. And again, make sure it's not a big thump to the floor. Imagine there's something sharp underneath the toe. Okay, and you have to control it on the way down. So one foot down, light little tap back up, and then change sides. And to make it a little bit harder, we can go with a heel tap instead of a toe tap. That's it. Again, just a little bit further to travel, you might find the abdominals working a little bit more. And again, we were always told easy exercise can be made hard, just focus on the muscles we're trying to kick in. That's it, 2 more each side. Again, are the hands and shoulders relaxed, or are you holding on through them? Try to keep them relaxed. Okay, and then we give the knees a little hug into the chest. That's it, a little rock from side to side. So we give the tummy a little bit of a break. Okay, we're going to work the back of the body. Okay, the back of the legs and the bum. So feet firmly onto the floor. And again, like last week, if you need to get a cushion or a pillow or something in between the thighs, please do. So again, if the big toes lift up and the weight goes to the outside of the feet, that is going to affect the whole way up the chain. So again, if you don't get the big toes on the floor, the inner thighs are not going to kick in, pelvic floor, deeper abdominal muscles, okay? So again, keep the weight into the big toe as well. So push through both feet, lift the hips straight up, squeezing the bum. And again, if you get the ball in between the thigh, that'll just keep the knees in line. Don't let the knees go out wide. So keep the weight in the big toe. That's it, equally throughout the whole foot. And drop the hips right back down. Push through both feet, lift the hips up, squeeze the bum. Make sure there's no pressure on that back. And then lower back down. Push through both feet, lift the hips up, squeeze the bum. And lower back down. So to make this harder, we can bend at the elbows, or you can lift the hands the whole way up, up to the ceiling. Shoulders back in against the mat. Push through both feet, lift the hips up, squeeze the bum, and lower back down. That's it. The closer the feet are to the bum, the easier it is, and the further away, the harder it is. We'll go for 5 and 4. Last 3 and 2. Now, last one we're going to hold up here. So see about popping the hands back down on the floor. You can lift them up if you find this next part fine. Keep the toes on the floor, but lift one heel, lower, lift the other heel, and lower. Hips stay high, lift the left heel, lower, lift the right heel, lower, left and lower, right and lower. We go for 4 each side. And 3. Again, if you feel you can lift the elbows, or we can get the hands up. But again, don't let the hips rock from side to side. Last 1 each side. And rest the hips right back down. You can give those knees a little hug into the chest again. Little rock from side to side. Now, so we're going to get both feet down. Take a second, find neutral spine. And keep the tummy nice and tight again, not letting it pop or dome. So we're going to bring just one leg to tabletop. And again, we want to get awareness in the body and being able to isolate different areas, okay, without the whole body moving. So we're going to go into our single leg circles. So my leg is at tabletop. I'm going to imprint my fingertip into the top of my knee. And I want you to imagine there's a beam of light coming from that point onto the ceiling, and I'm going to draw little circles onto the ceiling. But the movement's coming from the hip joint. So if you don't really have that awareness there, or even if you have an injury in that point, you might find it very hard just to isolate the area. So again, using our tactile cueing, our hand, I'm going to push into my hip, and that's where I want the movement coming from. So I don't want the whole body rocking from side to side. Okay, I'm pointing into my hip joint, that's where the movement's coming from. Again, I'm keeping the tummy tight to stop the rest of the body moving, to keep that stability as I isolate the hip joint. Okay, and now I'm going to change direction, so opposite way around. Again, my tummy's not popping or doming, tummy's staying tight. And I'm going to pause and then lower that foot to the floor. Again, keep the tummy tight, and I'm going to bring my right leg up. Again, I'm going to use my fingertip, point into the top of the knee. Okay, beam of light coming onto the ceiling. And again, pointing my finger into the side of the hip, that's where I want moving. So I'm going to isolate the hip joint. That's it, not letting the body rock from side to side. And change direction. That's it, last one. And give the knees a little hug into the chest. Okay, so we get into a little bit of stretching, okay, so we're going to stretch out the hamstrings. So I'm going to send one leg up to the ceiling. Now we're going to interlock the hands around that thigh, and we're going to point and flex the foot. So we'll just do a quick stretch, again just showing you how to kind of stretch the main ones. Now if you don't feel like this is much of a stretch, okay, it probably is for a lot of us, we want to make sure there's no pull on the back of the knee, okay, you want to feel the back of the thigh. If you straighten out the other leg along the floor, that is going to get a stronger stretch in this, but make sure that the knee hasn't then gone to bend. So again, don't be afraid to keep the knee bent and point and flex the foot. So from here, we're just going to go into the hip stretch. So I'm going to place my right foot, which is the leg that's up to the ceiling, onto my left knee, and I'm going to push the right knee away. Now what we can do either to increase the stretch is come up, interlock the hands around the left thigh, and then rest the upper body back down. And again, you should get a stretch in onto the hip. Again, if you're tight in around the thigh, you'll probably find that maybe that might be a stretch on the inner thigh. Okay, but the hip is the main one. That's it. Okay, and we're going to change sides. Okay, if you're joining us on Facebook or Instagram, thanks very much, and don't forget to leave a comment or a thumbs up before you leave. Okay, so we're interlocking the hands around the left thigh, give a little point and flex of the foot. That's it. And when you point and flex the foot, you're going to feel a stretch down more so the back of the lower leg. And again, doing that movement could just be a little bit of, just can help get the nerve moving a little bit. Just loosen all the pathway of the nerve. Okay, so again, like we did on the other side, I'm going to place my left ankle onto my right knee. And again, you can either just push that left knee away, or else interlock the hands around the right thigh. I'm going to bring the upper body up to do so, but then once I have hold of it, I'm resting my upper body down. And I get a nice stretch in on that left hip. That's it. Again, you can do another stretch on each side on the hip while you're down here, which is a nice one to do. But other than that, then you're all done. And to fix the hair and ready to go. So yeah, thanks very much to everyone for joining us. I hope you enjoyed it. And yeah, as I said, if you enjoyed it and you want a bit more, just make sure to leave comments. And yeah, thank you very much. We'll see you all next week. So we will.
Thanks, Nora.
Thank you.
Thank you.